I hope people are listening to this. I mean, especially all you young men out there. Pay attention.
When there's an absence of a father, the boy instinctively will always look for the next older males who are doing something to get attention, status, authority, celebrity, and it could be a gangbanger, it could be a drug dealer, it could be anything. And it's for this
guy.
Yeah, it could be a mob guy.
It's the attraction to them.
There is an attraction to it. Like, as boys, we are curious. We want to take risks. And it's dad's job to be rough and tumble. It's dad's job to take you out there and show you the world, but in a way that you're protected, and then slowly open up those boundaries and teach you why he's doing these things. And in the absence of that, boys will always look at it. And somebody asked me, well, that doesn't exist for women. So what is this? That, it was a feminist who was asking me this.
Of course.
I said, actually, a rite of passage does exist for women. It's just, it doesn't have to be administered by the dad. She said, what do you mean? I said, there comes a time in a young girl's life where she has her menstrual cycle, her first menstrual cycle, and she sprouts breasts. In that moment, mom says, honey, you're now a woman. There's a very physical, magical, beautiful, God-given thing that happens to a girl that is now celebrated. You're a woman. What happens to us? Nothing. All the men in here, there was no defining moment that said, you're now a man.
Right.
It is the dad's job to say that you now have a seat at the table. We're going to groom you into being a formidable, competent man. And if the dad is absent, we will look up to the next available male, good or bad, and God help us that it's a good person that we're looking up to, but more often than not, when there's a father who's absent from the household, or a father who's just emotionally and mentally absent, in other words, disconnected, who just says, well, I provide. You provide. The government can provide. If all you think is your job is to provide shelter and food, the government can put your kids on food stamp and put them in Section 8 housing, and now we don't need you. There's more to providing as a man than just providing food and shelter. And so there's so much to be said for that. This is why, by the way, this is why knights had squires.
Mm-hmm.
The knights had squires because it was the knight's job to teach that young man through sword fighting, by cleaning the blood off of his shield, by taking care of the horse, waking up early and cleaning up all the shit from the stable. And it is the knight who grooms that young man into being a modern day knight. We still do that as men. We are the knights, and it's our duty to groom them. And when someone says that's just old stuff, well, that's why anxiety, depression, drug use, infidelity, pornography, all this is through the roof, because the dads are absent, and when there's an absence, like I said earlier, a vacuum is filled with some kind of vice.
I have a question for all my friends and followers. Have you tried my wine yet? In the last 2 years, we've made tremendous progress with Franzese wine, and it's really all thanks to your support, and obviously because people are finding out we have a great wine at a great price. In 2025, we aim to become a national brand, and I want all of you to be a part of it. Every bottle you buy, every story you share builds more than a brand. It fuels a movement. The story of our wine is one of people having second chances and of lives being transformed. That's the truth. So go to my website, franzesewine.com, and get your bottle today. Salud, my friends. Your message has been very clear. I've watched you over the years. Really teaching a man how to be a man. What does that mean to you? And what can we tell these young kids? I have the same message I put out there. What do you tell these young kids, or even men today, that don't act like men?
Yeah.
One of the things that are happening in our culture today, hopefully it's minimizing now, but it's still there, is if a man is acting like a man, it's somehow demeaning to a woman.
Right.
And it's just the opposite. When a man is a man, it's a benefit to a woman.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you could explain that, as well or better than I can.
What you just said there, a dear friend of mine, Father Michael Butler, who is working so hard to bring me to Christ, he said it
working
best.
Or is it done?
He's on his way.
Oh,
he's on his
maybe
way.
I'll join him.
I had a feeling. The army of men
Yes.
looking to bring me to Christ is getting bigger and bigger, and I can understand and see the message.
All right, I want to be able to say something to you because I see you're very serious, and you'll pay attention to things.
Yes, sir.
Before this is over, I'm going to say something to you that I want you to think about with respect to our faith.
Sure.
You're up.
And so Father Michael Butler said, masculinity, which is what you're describing, being a man, and everyone knows, like, you can go up to any young man and say, hey, what is being a man like? And I'll say, well, you'll stand up for what's right and wrong. You will stand in the gap. You open doors. You stand up when you shake hands. You You know, they have a general idea of what being a gentleman and a chivalrous man is. One that's a protector, a provider, confident, capable, competent. However, Father Michael Butler said, masculinity is a gift from God. And when a man doesn't exercise his masculinity, he's essentially,
I love that.
blasphemy. It's blasphemous. It's literally throwing it in the face of God. It is a gift from God. If there was a loud bang just outside right now, your wife is on the other side of the camera. I don't know who else is in the house, but it is going to be us men who are going to run outside to handle business. It is just expected. I would not expect the women and the children in the house to run outside. They have a different duty.
And that's not demeaning.
That's not demeaning at all.
That's just living our role. That's it.
It's factory installed in us. It is not factory installed in them. And so when this happens, someone says, well, that's demeaning. You're right. Society has done a great job of brainwashing us, saying, well, there should be all types of equality. There should, because I don't know how to deliver a baby. And I'll tell you this, when my son and daughter were like, Andrew was 4, Chloe was 2 years old, my wife went on a 2-day girls trip. By the end of day 1, Michael,
I know what you're going to say.
I was going to strangle my own kids. Strangle them.
I know exactly. I'm with you, bro.
She came back 2 days later. I said, I would rather start 2 more multi-million-dollar companies and deal with the stress of competition, of legislation, because the work I deal with the Federal Trade Commission, some of the franchising space, right, with our gyms. I would rather deal with the stubborn bureaucratic government than have to take care of my own 2 babies, because they're babies. They want their mom. I don't have that superpower. Now, today Chloe is 17, Andrew's 19. They're stuck to my hip because I'm cool. I work out, I do jujitsu, and they do all that shit with me. But in that time, they need mom. So I can't say I want that same equality, right? And so a man must do what a man must do. And in the absence of masculinity, it is a slap to God's face, according to Father Michael Butler, because masculinity is a gift from God and we must exercise it. Now, is there such thing as toxic masculinity? Absolutely. I believe toxic masculinity is when a man is passive aggressive. He's the proverbial nice guy, the nice guy. He's passive aggressive. You can't really trust him. He'll say one thing to one person, another thing to the other person. He's a bit gossipy. He spreads rumors. He talks shit. And then when you go to confront him, he's denying it all. That nice guy, that's toxic masculinity. A true man has honor. A true man has strength, honor, courage, and mastery. And this isn't coming from me. This is coming from the great author, Jack Donovan, New York Times bestseller. He wrote a wonderful book called The Way of Men. And everyone listening to this should get Jack's book, The Way of Men. And in that book, he talks about all men, because as he went to deconstruct what makes a man, and with your background, you can appreciate this. Strength, both physical, mental, and emotional strength, right? There's probably been times that you've chosen to zip your mouth and not say a word because you've exercised like mental and emotional strength. There's times that you've had to utilize physical strength, courage. There might be times that you have to step into the fire. And a man that is not willing to stand shoulder to shoulder with another man and step into the fire does not have courage. Honor, in other words, do I trust you? Is there loyalty? Is there some kind of shared core values? Do I have to sleep with one eye open? Do I have to look over my back with you around me? If there is no honor, we have no relationship as men. And then mastery. Mastery is, look, I realize we can't all be fighters and warriors and be courageous. But for crying out loud, can you build shelter? Can you make a weapon? When you think about the caveman times, not every caveman was a warrior. But if you don't have mastery, you can't make a pot. You can't make a bow and arrow. You can't make a spear. You're useless. The only time that's unforgivable, the only time it's unforgivable for a man to not have one or all of those 4 things is when he's old and useless to us, in which case the tribe must protect him, or he's crippled and disabled. That is the only time that I will say it is okay for you. I'll carry your load. Beyond that, you carry your own weight, because that's what's expected of a man.
You're right. And I hope people understood what your definition of toxic masculinity is, because I believe that. You described it perfectly. Today, it's been polluted to think that if a man says, I'm the protector, I'm the one that provides for the household, that's toxic, because we're demeaning women in that regard. Right. They've got it wrong.
Yeah.
What you said, you explained it exactly right. Yeah. Now, I want to tell you something. You opened the door for me. I have to jump in.
Yes, sir.
When you talk about manhood, Jesus of Nazareth. I'm not saying Jesus Christ. I'm not saying the Savior of the world. Jesus of Nazareth, the man. From the time I was 5 years old, my father drummed it into my head. You got to be a man's man. That's the standard in life you have to live up to. You walk down the street, hold your head up high. You got to have integrity, treat women and children properly. Man's man. I got into the life. That's all I ever heard. We're men of honor. We're men above men. We're men's men. So when I came to faith, I had challenged Jesus because I said, growing up as a Catholic, I always saw this wimpy view of Jesus. I'm not blaming Catholics. Hanging on a cross, they never spoke about the character of Jesus of Nazareth. So I started reading the Gospels. I separated his deity from his manhood, and I started reading the Gospel about Jesus of Nazareth. And Bedros, I'm blown away. There was no greater man that ever walked the face of the earth. You have to study him in every facet of his character. You know, take that a step further. I went to Jerusalem and I walked the Via Dolorosa, the place where he allegedly, not allegedly, it's true, he dropped 3 times while he was holding the cross. And I'm looking at this and I'm saying, how did this man get up? After being scourged, and this is factual, a lot of people say, well, this is myth. It's not. It's historical. There's so much evidence to back up and support that this is reality. This really happened. And nobody disputes the fact that Jesus lived. Nobody disputes the fact that he died. People have a problem with the resurrection. Same authors, everything, but people have a problem with that because that seals it for us, for everybody. And so I said to myself, wow, I'm impressed with this man. So if I try to emulate him throughout my life, well, I'm married. I'm going to be a better husband to my wife. I'll be a better father to my children. Everybody in the community will benefit from me emulating the greatest man that ever walked the face of the earth. And at the end of the day, I'm going to benefit. And then I said, well, I like to break things down. Well, if he's not the savior of the world, when I die, I'm dead anyway. So what did I have to lose? But throughout my life, I benefited from emulating the greatest man that ever walked the face of the earth. So what I'll ask you to do, no, there's not, go home and study and see what you think.
Yeah. And to that point, I've actually started.
Okay.
This year I picked up the Bible, and you know that Bible where you can read like over 365 days.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I'm doing, and I'm supplementing it with the teachings of Joseph Campbell. He wrote a phenomenal book called The Power of Myth.
Yes, I know the book.
Yeah. And so I'm right there with you, and I appreciate it. And it's good to have great men who want to look out for me. But I agree what you said with, look, if I live like Jesus, what is the harm? I'll be a good man all around, to humanity, to my family, to my friends, to my team members, to the world. And if it was to be true, then obviously I go to a better place post-death.
Got everything to gain.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll tell you this too, I'll just leave with this and then I want to get on to something else. You know, it's good, and you know this as a man, it's good to have a healthy fear of things that are no good for you. I have a healthy fear of drugs. I had a sister that died of an overdose. My brother, a drug addict for 25 years. Bedros, I can't even begin to tell you what he put me through personally, just trying to keep him alive, plus my family. I have a healthy fear of that. I have a healthy fear of gambling. I've seen more people destroy their lives over gambling. It's kind of a silent thing. Comes up on you. You're broke. You're in trouble. You're addicted. I don't want to touch it. I don't gamble. And I don't take drugs because maybe I like it too much.
Right.
So I don't even try it, right? Because of what I witnessed. When I was in a hole for 29 months and 7 days, 6x8 cell, that's it. I got a healthy fear of hell. Because, when I read the Bible, Jesus spoke more about hell than he did about heaven. I said, I don't want to go there. It motivated me to do the research. I had my wife send me in 300-400 books on every faith. I started studying everything. I said, hey, I ain't kidding myself. I want to know what's real here. And I came out of there with that conclusion that this is our faith. So the only reason I bring that up, because I want people to understand, it's good to have a healthy fear of things that are no good for you.
I would agree.
They motivate you to stay away from it and to learn the truth. So